Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. I am Ashley. I'm a homeschooling mom with 7 kiddos. We have been in public school previously for, I can't remember for a second, they're 4 years, and this is our 4th year of homeschooling. I wanted to do a video on, I know a lot of people have in the past probably 2 years have come from public school and started homeschooling. Kind of just jumping into this black hole with, all these thoughts and all these concerns and just thinking, what the heck am I getting into? Over the last few years, and something that I was concerned about when I realized that this is actually what I was going to do, was things that I would miss about public school. And I wanted to list, I have 6 things that I thought of off the top of my head. I can think of more, but off the top of my head, to make this video somewhat short. Things that I was worried that I was going to A, miss, or B, my kids would miss, or C, regret the fact that I homeschool because I can't do these things. But I'm going to put a little twist on that, because you can do these things just in a different way. Number 1, the school parties. Now, if you have never been in public school, you don't know the funness of school parties. I would volunteer for the parties. I would bring food for the parties. I was very, very involved in all aspects. When my kids were in preschool, they did a private preschool. My first 3 did a private preschool. In elementary school, I jumped full force in. Now, not PTA president full force in, but enough to where I could do it and be comfortable with my level of commitment. School parties, I do miss. But I put a different spin on it. We do these same things here as we did there, just a different way. We can do the parties. You can do the parties. You can do the Valentine's parties. You can do Valentine exchange. You can do decorations. You can make the cookies. You can dress the appropriate attire for the holiday. You can do all of these things at home. The parties, yes, I miss going to the parties and I miss walking into the room and seeing my kiddo like light up because I was there to help and volunteer. Yes, and I am okay with that. I am okay with missing certain things, but being thankful that I had the opportunity to do these things and to be a part of these things for my first few kiddos. I have acknowledged the fact and accepted the fact that I will miss it for my other kids, but I have to put it in perspective as to what I am gaining while I can do these things at home. I don't have to be there for only 30 minutes or an hour, and we can still have the party fun here. I don't have to worry about, which I did do with my first 2, juggling room to room, which means the more kids I have in school, I could potentially have one in all grades of elementary school. I was jumping from one room to another. So class parties, end of the year party, whatever. I would go from one kid to another kid, and then I'd jump back and I'd spend like 10 minutes here and okay, they're done with their game. Let me go to the other room and go back and forth to where it was hard to be intentional in any of the rooms because I was going back and forth. So yes, you will miss school parties, but you can have a better alternative at home. Keep that in mind. Me time. When my kids were in school, I had lunchtime was kind of like the time where I sat and I ate my lunch or my TV dinner or whatever at the time, watched my little bit of soap opera, and that was my me time. And my kids were at school and my other kids were napping. And that was kind of their nap time. And, it was quiet. And I don't do well with a quiet house. Is that weird? I am so used to the craziness of a loud house that when it's quiet, I'm like, what do I do with myself? That's just how it is. And, I have friends that aren't used to that and are like, oh my gosh, this noise, like I can't take this noise, and that's just my house. That's just how it is. The me time, and I'm going to do a separate video on like self-care and how I do that with a large family, a separate video on that. But in a nutshell, I don't require much. I do not require time at the nail place or time at the salon or, time to go and do yoga. I do all of those things at my house, other than cutting my own hair. I do all of those things at my house. And so I don't require that much to feel like I have filled my cup of me time. I just enjoy more of the hustle and the bustle and being busy and doing those things and activities and all that more than like alone time. So the me time, I really didn't have a problem with. I am years behind on my soap operas, yes. I did enjoy watching those. I had one or two that I was like really fixated on when I was younger, and in high school and all that. It's what I would watch, and I loved it. But it is a small price to pay for this. You kind of just have to weigh does it outweigh the benefits of homeschooling? So me time is not super important. I thought I would miss it. I miss watching my soap operas, but I can watch them on YouTube. Like it's not a deal breaker. Field trips. I loved field trips. I was always a chaperone. I was always there. There was one year when both my kids had a field trip on the same day. So my husband went to one and I went to another. That was only kind of the only conflict I had, but I was always a chaperone. I was always there. Never missed a field trip. And so I really felt like I would miss that. I do miss a part of it. I miss, seeing my kids interact with their friends, their school friends on a field trip and, taking the pictures and doing all these things. Also, you can do field trips as a homeschooler. And this is something that I really want to get more into this season or this, I say semester, but starting now, I would really like to do more of these things because I'm not a huge like museum person. I get very bored. I get very bored at the museum. And so I'm not a museum person. We will do the zoo, but I also feel like it's kind of like the same thing over and over. So I like to do things that are different. There are a few places that I have in mind that I think my kids would really enjoy. And whether that's bringing just my two older kids, depending on what it is, or bringing 3 of them or bringing 4 of them, I probably wouldn't bring all of them, but bring at least a few. I think there are quite a few things that I'm kind of looking into that would be great for field trips. Now I have a tendency to kind of put those aside because our days are so busy and our weeks are so busy and we just have so much stuff and I have to be home by a certain time in order for extracurriculars and I have to get dinner ready and all this. And so it's very hard to kind of work those in, but I want to make that a point to schedule those in because yes, I miss the field trips, the school field trips, the planned field trips and all of that. But it's okay because you can do it at home. Volunteering, like I said, I volunteered for so much, so much. I was room parent. Anything they needed me for, I was there. And so, yes, I miss that. I miss going to lunch and seeing my kids at lunch and seeing them light up or bringing them lunch. I would try and do that once a week if I could. But flip side, I get to have lunch with my 7th grader. Like, come on, guys, you can't beat that. I don't even know if you're allowed to go into the middle school and bring lunch, or are they too cool in middle school to be, seen with your mom bringing you lunch? Like, I don't have that here. We all eat lunch together from my 7th grader all the way down to my 1-year-old. And I never have to worry about that. I never have to worry about, is my kid going to be sitting by himself at lunch? For whatever reason, if his friends don't have that particular lunch, my kid can choose what he wants to eat at lunch, at home. Just so many things. Like, yes, and a lot of this is, I miss it in the elementary years. But as they get older and into middle school and high school, and you don't get that as much, and you can't do all those things, you're not going to have field trips like that where you can necessarily volunteer. You're not going to have that same experience. So it's like very short-lived in elementary school. And I have to keep reminding myself that as well, is that it's the elementary school years that you miss, because that's where all the fun happens. And then as you get older and they don't want the parent involvement as much anymore, or it's a different kind of parent involvement. So yes, those things, lunch, volunteering, yes, I miss it, but there is a much, much better alternative and a flip side to that. School activities. There were so many things that my older kid and my second kid did in school. They had like a folk dance night one time where you could go and watch them do their folk dance that they learned to the music in one of their out classes, or instruments that they learned, and they would put on a little performance. Or the fundraisers, like they did a fundraiser, and then they had like a DJ dance party, I remember, or they had 50s day, or they had the 100th day of school. All of these things, yes, I miss physically going to the school and seeing them like dressed up and doing these activities and being a part of it. But so many of these things you can replicate at home and do the same thing at home, just on a different scale. And if you have a large family, there's your party. So I always have a party. I always have enough people for a party. One other thing that I feel like I didn't put on this list, but I think that I feel like I missed, or I thought I was going to miss the most, school pictures and like little mementos that they would do throughout the year. I can do my own school pictures and save probably about $100 with the amount of kids that I have, first of all. There are so many things and so many alternatives that you can do. I take their pictures when we go out of town. We were just in Tennessee, and I took their pictures, their individual pictures, when we were out of town. I use those as their like school yearly pictures. When we go out of town, I will do individual pictures. How many people can say that their school pictures are in front of a mountain? Like those kinds of things where you see the alternative and you see what you can do better than what you thought you were missing. The school t-shirts. I spent so much money on school t-shirts and, over the years, and fundraising and all of that kind of stuff. You could do that. Heck, you could make your own t-shirt. You could make your own family t-shirt. Like, you can do all of these things. And I think the take from this video that I want people to understand, if you are coming from public school and you are starting to homeschool, or you are thinking about it, this list that I just said are things that were going to potentially stop me from homeschooling. They were, at some point in my mind, going to potentially be things that were going to hinder God's plan, in essence. And these are very materialistic things, but they were so important to me at the time that I could not see past that bigger picture. And as I'm saying this to you now, these things are kind of coming to my head because I have been there, and I know that the fear part of that fear is missing out on all the things. And I am also here to tell you that yes, you will in fact miss those things, but you have to see past that, and you have to see the big picture, that all of these things you can do bigger and better at your own house. You can decorate for parties how you want. You can make these things bigger. You can do all of these things and bigger and better at your own home, in the comfort of your own home, and not have to worry about a time limit. You could make the whole day a party full of activities and all kinds of things. And these are things that I really feel like could have stopped me from moving forward with this. And you have to think of it like that you can do these things bigger and better and how you want to, and not put, 15, 30 minutes, an hour to this, cutoff of this party. And so I feel like that, I could go on and on about these things, because they really, when I would sit there in the car line and picking up my kids and think about things that I was going to miss and that I was going to miss out on. And again, you will miss it, but you have to look at what is better. So to finish, I don't expect people, and I now don't expect myself to not miss these things. I just have to retrain my thinking and my thought process on how can it be better, because this lifestyle is much better. And once you get that in your head and you acknowledge that and you realize that, you can accept the fact that these things, yes, you will miss out on, but you can do so much more. So let me know down below if there are any other things that you feel like you missed out on or were going to miss out on, because I know there's more, because like I said, we were in public school for so long, and it was a complete adjustment, lifestyle adjustment. So let me know down below if you have any other questions or any other requests for any other type of public school or transition video. Let me know. I would be happy to make those. I constantly thinking of those kind of things, because I want to be able to, make people feel confident in their decision to switch. And it's not always easy. And, when I first started, I was browsing YouTube trying to find videos on, oh my gosh, is this the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this? Pros, cons, all of that. And, I'm thankful for actually a few people on YouTube that I really just sat and binge watched their videos and really got confident in my decision. So if there's something that you feel like you need, a boost on with switching over, or if there's, any issues that you're having with the transition from public to homeschool, let me know down below. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.